Chapter 221 Capital City Trembles _2. Not everyone has access to intelligence like Hai Dongqing. For them, being on the battlefield was no different than being blind. Xie Sishu briefly explained the current situation. What? Yan Chongqing doubted he had heard right. You only have about 3,000 people, and both General Shah and the princely heir are trapped elsewhere? How did you manage to appear here and burn their supplies with such audacity? There's no time to talk about that now. Chun Sansi asked. Mr. Yan, do you know the current situation in Golden Spring Manor? Yan Chongqing had been guerrilla fighting in this area for a while and knew some things. It's very empty. However, apart from the 2,000 guarding the supply route, there must be about 2,000 more in the city. Moreover, as far as I know, the main general is at the minor meridian passage level, and the deputy general is nearing the meridian passage level from Huajin Perfection. Now that their supply route has been intercepted, they will definitely come out of the city to pursue us immediately. Another 2,000 men. Chun Sansi knew it meant they had to fight a tough battle. There was no other way. War was not a game. He couldn't know the exact strength of the enemy, only estimate approximately. A discrepancy of 2,000 men wasn't significant. Sir, a scout from the front reported, a large army has come out from Golden Spring Manor. They're quick. Yusong said somberly, quick, burn the supplies. Once burned, set up our formation and confront the enemy right here. They don't have as many men as we do. Take it slow, and we'll definitely crush them.
No.
Chun Sansi interjected. Vice Admiral Yu, we should set up the Heaven and Earth Triad formation and charge directly at them. General Chun, haven't you always been cautious in deploying troops? Yusong felt this youngster was unpredictable and curiously said, if we charge into a melee, we'll lose the advantage of our superior numbers, and there's also the risk of collapsing. War is also about deceit. Chun Sansi said, moreover, Vice Admiral Yu, don't forget we might have a large number of enemy forces coming from the east bank behind us, and north of the Wushui River is the main base of the Qimei army. Perhaps a large army is crossing the river. Once we stay here too long, we will be caught in a three-sided attack by tens of thousands of armies. So we must take this risk now. And don't aim to kill the enemy, but to rout them. Once the battle starts, Brother Xie, Brother Lu, Brother Yan, and I will head straight for the enemy generals. As long as the main general and deputy general are killed, the enemy will naturally lose their will to fight. It's just that I don't know if you can handle their commander at the minor meridian passage level, Vice Admiral Yu? A level higher than mine. Vice Admiral Yu gripped his weapon. No problem. I'll give it my all. Good. Chun Sansi tightened the reins with one hand. I'll take on those at the Huajin Perfection level. You.
Eva achieved Huayin.
Chun Sansi didn't elaborate further. Having been in Ming State for such a long time, achieving Huajin was reasonable. Brothers, listen to me. Yusong stimulated his chi blood to ensure his voice reached most of the men. Follow me and charge ahead. Once we get past this hurdle, we can meet up with General Zhao and then take Wudong Prefecture in one fell swoop. Wudong Prefecture has ample resources, and then we can think of a way to motivate the citizens to defend the city together. We can definitely hold out until reinforcements arrive. So, let's give it our all. Let's give it our all. Kill the rebel army. Attack Wudong. Kill the rebel army. Attack Wudong. The promise of surviving the upcoming battle ignited extremely high morale among their troops. Chun Sansi didn't tell them about the plans that would follow. Sometimes people need short-term goals to drive them, which is called quenching thirst by thinking of plums. If he told them about the long road they still had to travel, many would despair. Because everyone was simply too exhausted. After months in Ming State, no one had slept well or eaten a hot meal. Even an iron body couldn't bear it. They had made it this far purely on willpower. Once that was gone, it was over, no matter how elite the forces were. And this was just from traveling around one state with a continuous supply. General Feng, the remnants of the reserve camp are just ahead, Deputy General Sukai said, but I'm afraid we won't be able to save the supplies. Damn it! General Feng had just received the notice that a group might appear from the east and loot the supplies, instructing them to rush out of the city and encircle them. How did they arrive so quickly? Pass my order. Once the enemy is spotted, form a formation 20 miles out. Try to avoid combat as much as possible. Our goal is to delay them until additional pursuers arrive. They will naturally become fish in a barrel. However, after they formed their formation, they were shocked to discover the enemy had no intention of confronting. Instead, they had set up a charge formation and were heading straight toward them, with earth-shattering cries of war. Are they not afraid of dying? Small car suspension array. While the main troops formed the heaven and earth triad formation, their military officers gathered together in the small car suspension array, spearheading the front and forcefully breaking through an opening. Whiz, whiz, whiz. Mounted on his horse, Chun Sansi was already shooting arrows continuously before the charge, nearly killing 100 men until the enemy brought out the mystical Iron Shy. Chapter 222 Capital City Tremors _3. Sometimes from behind or from the flank, when the surprise attacks were launched, as long as they were from those below the refining organ level, Chun Sansi didn't even dodge. He let them chop at his body, sparks scattering like iron striking against his mystic armor. Occasionally someone would strike at his neck, a gap where the armor didn't cover, but even those were forcibly withstood by the trembling of his Vajra body. To the higher-level martial artists, this indicated a special physique, but in the eyes of the vast majority of the ordinary rebel army, it was as if a god of slaughter impervious to sword and spear had descended from the heavens, bringing an indescribable shock. These rebels were under Dong En's command, not possessing the mysterious, momentarily unrecognizable chi enhancement. Under the cover of the car suspension formation, they entered the uninhabited territory and quickly reached the location of the rebel army's main general and deputy general. But there were hardly any men left behind him. After all, it was a deep ambush. Lu Shuhua, Xie Shu, and Yan Chongqing, among others, were intercepted by the enemy army during the charge and fell into deadly battles. All of them were refining organ martial artists, and the enemy army also had refining organ warriors. Now only Chun Sansi and Yu Song remained. Rebels, meet your death. Yu Song roared, engaging in combat with the main general. Chun Sansi, however, thrust his spear towards the deputy general. Su Kai, with a mo blade in hand which was heavy and mighty, swung the blade down in panic. The blades collided with the Five Tigers' soul-breaking spear, emitting a crisp metallic buzz, stabilizing his unease. The young general opposite him could not maintain strength in his mystical weapon for long, indicating he was merely proficient in Hua Jing, but he was a genuine Hua Jing great perfection, about to step into the Meridian Passage realm in another 2 years. I thought you were something special. Just a brute. Die. Su Kai was no longer afraid, the mo blade in his hands. Everyone, charge forward. Wang Ji yelled exhaustively, cover Sansi. Create a one-on-one situation for him. Being already 2 major realms apart, if a few more refining organ or early-stage Hua Jing opponents interfered, it would increase the difficulty. Attack! The brothers from Piyang County were all as if invigorated with chicken blood. Boom! Su Kai's mo blade chopped down again. On the blade of the mo blade there was a layer of invisible force, something only a Hua Jing great perfection martial artist could achieve, enhancing the weapon with chi, and even releasing some of it externally, effectively adding another blade surface on the weapon. The Five Tigers' soul-breaking spear first came into contact with this chi layer, and by the time it broke through the chi and truly made contact with the mo blade, much of power had already been reduced. An ordinary martial artist proficient against a Hua Jing perfection would certainly be easily killed within less than 10 exchanges. Clang, 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 clang. Several exchanges passed. To Su Kai's surprise, the young man no longer had even intermittent chi support, clearly indicating his chi was depleted, showing he had recently reached proficiency in the Hua Jing technique, weaker than Su Kai had anticipated. The only surprising thing was his incredibly strong physical power. Without chi support, he still managed to withstand over a dozen exchanges with just a long spear, but that was all there was to it. Su Kai's killing intent grew stronger, and his saber techniques became even sharper, containing all his most ruthless and lethal skills. Sure enough, the enemy general couldn't hold on. After the 19th exchange, the enemy general took advantage of a gap to turn his horse around, dragging his long spear in an attempt to flee back to his own lines. Clearly, both his chi and chi blood were exhausted, seeking to save his life. "Where do you think you're running to?" Su Kai roared, spurring his horse into a chase. The opponent's white horse wasn't fast, and Su Kai quickly closed the distance. 30 paces, 20 paces, 10 paces, finally, 5 paces. Ah! Su Kai howled like a beast, raising his MO blade high, amassing chi around the blade, ready to cleave the enemy general in two from the back. Buzz! At the same moment, the MO blade chopped down. The previously retreating, fleeing enemy general suddenly bent backwards in an extremely strange posture. His long spear thrusting out in a flash, under the blazing sun. It was like a dragon breaking out from the sunlight, its force immense, its power mountain-splitting. A surge of indescribable shock overwhelmed Su Kai, stunning him for a brief moment. Backward charge. What a cunning backward charge. And this spear technique was no ordinary technique. From the reserve camp wielding a spear, this man was Chun Sansi. As someone under Dong An's elite forces, naturally he had some knowledge of the selected point from Liangzhou. This lad had been concealing his skill. The purpose was to lure the enemy deep, then ambush them with a backward charge. Excellent strategy. Worthy of someone who had thought of leading his army here to burn their provisions. A man of great talents. Too bad. He was going to die.
Gukay sniered internali.
He was at Hua Jing perfection. As long as he blocked the spear, taking this leader's head would be as easy as turning over his hand. This was the champion leader, the closed-door disciple of Sun Xiangzong. To kill him would earn immense credit. Not to mention gold and silver, the resources he would gain later could allow him to progress further in martial arts. Boom! Su Kai exploded with unprecedented power, his blood raging non-stop. The MO blade wrapped in terrifying chi twisted unnaturally and swung back hard, slashing at the five tigers' soul-breaking spear. However, the easy deflection of the long spear he had imagined didn't occur. Instead, he was met with an incredibly strong chi, instantly numbing his arms and trembling them. Unprepared, the MO blade slipped from his control, flying into the air. Chapter 223 Capital City Tremors _4. This power. Even though he couldn't even spread it to the periphery of the weapons, why was a single strike more powerful than his? Impossible, this can't be possible. In a state of panic, Su Kai reached out, trying to grab the MO blade hanging in midair. Clang! A desperate, crisp clanging resounded. The MO blade was once again flicked away by the long spear, spinning through the air for several tens of steps before landing and killing one of his own men. Poochie! Before Su Kai could comprehend what was happening, a golden light pierced through his chest, pulverizing his bones and heart together, causing him to tumble stiffly from his horse, dying with his eyes wide open. Storage. Chun Sansi had been preparing from the beginning. It seemed that after storing energy, any of his attacks could surpass those of an ordinary Hua Jin-perfection martial artist, as long as he seized the right opportunity for a fatal strike. Of course, should it not succeed at first, he could simply try again, albeit it would waste a lot of time. Elsewhere, at the cost of severe injuries, Yu Song crossed the border and killed the enemy's main general. With the main general, deputy general, and the heads of mid-level generals fiercely cut off by Lu Shuhua and others, the rebel army lost its backbone instantly, breaking down as haphazardly as startled beasts scattering in all directions. Hua Jin perfection. Yu Song lay draped over his horse's back, struggling to sit up multiple times and spitting out blood several times before he recovered slightly. Warring across borders was certainly no easy task. However, when he saw the head of the deputy general hanging from the long spear, he received a heavy blow. Was Hua Jin perfection so easily defeated? Not only was the opponent faster than him, but he hadn't sustained a single injury, killing enemies across two realms without harm. Huajin and refining internal were the same. Once one achieved great success, not to mention compared to entry-level or proficiency, even the gap between small achievement was like a chasm. Forget it. There's nothing to be shocked about. This young man had been the same back when he was a selected point. The difficulty of winning against a genius like Chao Fan across borders back then must have been greater than the current situation. Lu Shuhua, Xia Xishu, and others also witnessed this scenario. Just before leaving Liangzhou, everyone was still at refining internal organs perfection. How could this young man already be killing those at Huajin perfection? If he moved on to the next step, would he not be ready to kill those who had reached Meridian Passage? Don't get tied up in battle. Chun Sansi proceeded to inform everyone. Hurry up and move on. Head to Golden Spring Manor for supplies. Quick. As the battle didn't last long and the enemy army dispersed too quickly, they suffered only about 200 casualties. Moreover, their formation hadn't even become disordered. They didn't even need to stop for regrouping and headed straight for Golden Spring Manor. Sir. Zhao Kong rode up close and said, "How come old Su and Mr. Bai haven't returned yet? They should be back shortly, you go ahead." Chun Sansi walked 20 li toward the east and indeed encountered Su Wenkai and Bai Thingji returning. Unexpectedly, they had suffered losses, but those losses were not heavy. Out of over 900 feign attackers, more than 800 returned. "You lazy lout. You really did it." Zhu Tong changed his attitude from before and said, "The mindless fools at Luotian Pass got completely played by us." Su Wenkai, with no trace of pride on his face, staggered off his horse and bowed, saying, "Sir, the forces chasing from behind will likely catch up in about 10 days. Not just that." Chun Sansi pointed toward the south with his long spear and said, "Maishan Prefecture will most likely send people across the river too, and they should arrive within 7 days. Let's head to Golden Spring Manor first. The brothers are too tired and need a bit of rest." Yangchun Prefecture. The south city wall has collapsed. Quickly send people to repair it. Arrows. We're running out of arrows. Hurry up. What about the rolling stones and logs? Gone. If there's none left, then go dismantle the houses of the civilians. Tear down every house in the city, even if it's to forcefully drag a dog from a family home to help on the city walls. General. With no food to give them and Dong and spreading a plethora of guarantee letters outside the city, which promise that no civilian will be harmed after entering the city and even offering them a tax exemption. They are unwilling to come up and help. If they're unwilling, then kill until they are willing. General Shah's broadsword was notched from use, and his armor had shifted from mystical iron to ordinary arms, and even he sat down wearily, grabbing a piece of horse meat and stuffing it into his mouth. The city's supplies were running low. They had started to slaughter warhorses in small amounts to sustain themselves. Their military strength was also diminishing. When they first entered the city, there were 18,000 men, but now only about 10,000 remained. General Shah. Chao Fan came over and asked, "How's it going?" General Shah answered, "Not promising. The Yen State Army is about to engage with the West Qi Kingdom's large army in the south, but it's estimated that it'll still take a month to enter Ming State. Mobilizing reinforcements from there will take even longer. General Liu has also arrived. He's planning to launch a vigorous attack through the Sword Gate Canyon." Sword Gate Canyon, the most difficult route to attack Ming State, Chao Fan commented with a sigh. He truly is a peerless brave man. Each main general in the 8 camps had their unique traits. General Liu's special trait was being fierce and invincible. A saying circulated in the world, calling his courage peerless throughout the ages. But no matter how brave, it would still take time to break through. As for the Imperial Army coming from the Great Wilderness, they would definitely be the last to arrive, no need to even think about it. For them, time was life, but they could only continue to hold on and see. What about Chun Sansi and his men? No news. General Shah sneered. Most likely, they're already dead on the East Bank. Good if they're dead. It would save everyone a lot of trouble. Chapter 224 Capital City Tremors _5. Chao Fan managed a bitter smile. This was probably the only thing that could offer him solace in this predicament. Another 2 days passed. The siege from outside the city suddenly ceased. What's going on? Sha Wenlong asked anxiously. Could it be that reinforcements have already arrived? Report. The scout came back with news. 20 scouts went out, but at most only 2 or 3 would return each time. He said wildly with joy, General Sha, the rebel army's food and forage supply was cut off 3 days ago. They are now forced to temporarily stop their offensive and send people northwest to gather supplies. The troops outside the city have decreased by 1/3. Food and forage are generally calculated in advance. Then, before the supplies run out, new ones are delivered. Any error in between can lead to food supply interruption. This is often why it's said that provisions should go before soldiers and horses. Now the rebel army outside the city is hungry, which is starting to cause chaos among the troops. A forced siege at this time might lead to significant losses. Good. Chow Fan hurriedly asked, is it a great victory in the northwest? Have the Vermilion Bird Camp and White Tiger Camp broken through? No, wait, then why would they go northwest for supplies? Could it be Sword Gate Canyon? Impossible to be so quick. It is indeed strange. Ming State has 2 granaries in total, 1 large and 1 small. The largest is Golden Spring Manor, followed by Mingdi Prefecture in the northwest, which is the smaller granary and doesn't have much food. Sha Wenlong, looking at the map, said, logically, the food and forage for the rebel army outside the city should be supplied from Golden Spring Manor. Why run to the northwest? Could it be Golden Spring Manor's supply line has been raided?
Impossible.
There's no way our forces would appear at this location. General Zhao. Chow Fan's eyes lit up. General Sha, is it possible that General Zhao has used some clever strategy outside Wudong Prefecture, devoured the pursuing forces, and then turned back to Golden Spring Manor? That's the only possibility. Sha Wenlong thoughtfully nodded. If so, General Zhao has made an enormous contribution. After the granaries of Golden Spring Manor were torched, the granary of Mingdi Prefecture is simply not enough to supply Qimei, the rebel army, and West Qi's armies all at once. At most, it's only to avoid immediate demoralization. If they plan on a protracted war, they must transport food from outside the Great Wall, and that cost would be astronomical. This will be of great help in the overall war situation. Qiyu. While the two were discussing, a high Dongxing flew in against the setting sun. Princely air, look. It's Chun Sansi's bird. I suspect it's probably dead. From now on, this high Dongxing can be yours to use. There's intelligence on it. Sha Wenlong removed the note, and after reading it, his body shook, and he involuntarily took 2 steps back. General Sha? Chow Fan stood up. He's not dead. Far from it. Far from dead. Sha Wenlong's hands were slightly trembling. On their journey eastward and southward, they suddenly turned around, leaving tens of thousands of our troops grasping at straws. Then they marched westward. They are the ones who burned the supply line, and by now they may have taken Golden Spring Manor. Based on their current route, they are likely to continue westward and meet up with Zhao Wuji soon to attack Wudong Prefecture. If that's the case, Wudong Prefecture might hold out even longer than us. This youngster, how did he come up with this? He sure has a lot of nerve. Doesn't he fear encountering a large enemy force after crossing the river? Intelligence must be shared, and it must be real. That is the rule in the military, an ironclad rule. Even if there were previous disagreements, they still needed to keep each other informed. Otherwise, it would be tantamount to murdering the right army. If it leads to severe consequences, it would be considered as treason, a betrayal of the nation, and exterminating one's entire family wouldn't be out of the question. After hearing all this, Chow Fan clenched his fists. He started desperately searching the map for dead routes, and after racking his brain, he finally found a flaw. It's too late. Even if previously ignored, following the burning of the food and forage, West Qi Kingdom will definitely send troops southward to encircle General Zhao. If we join forces now, we would directly run into West Qi's large army. Still a dead end. Wudong Prefecture, they can't take it. Princely heir, you truly have a thorough understanding of military books. Even I overlooked this. You're right, they're still doomed. Sha Wanlong nodded satisfactorily. The difference is, before they die, they've relieved some of our pressure. That guy. Even Chow Fan began to feel a sense of regret. If he could go back to before selected point started, instead of waiting for the other party to court his favor and not simply regarding him as a dog that needed an owner, was there a possibility to make him his own? Grandpa really had foresight, having seen this person's extraordinariness a long time ago. But now it was too late to say anything. It would be best for this person to die near Wudong Prefecture. Otherwise, if he managed to survive to the end, there would be big trouble. Outside the city. Central Army tent. So soon? Couldn't stop them after all. Dong enclosed his eyes, feeling an inexplicable suffocation. He had really been outplayed by a greenhorn. Every disciple of Sun Xiangzong deserves to die. All of them. Dong nearly smashed the map. Encircle them to death. Encircle them to death behind Golden Spring Manor. I want their heads. I want to see a head surnamed Chun. Do you understand? Yes. On the border of Yen State, the camp of West Qi Kingdom's large troops. Marshal St. Zhong Wuxin, looking at the report of the granary being burned, his face darkened, then all his emotions settled into a cold laugh. If I had known that Dong was such a failure, I would never have agreed to his shutting the door to hit the dog strategy. Now, look what's happened, we've lost our provisions. It might actually be better to let Liang Ji come out and command. Maybe there'd be some improvement. Chapter 225 Capital City Tremors _6. Commander, what should we do next? The Deputy General asked. Our own supplies into Qi still need 20 more days to arrive. Regarding the gap, let's retreat. Zhong Wuxin said. Leave 2/10 of the troops to defend. If they can hold, they hold. If not, they retreat. The rest will pull back 200 miles in advance to Jing'an Prefecture to regroup and wait for the supply recovery. This task is yours. I must personally go to Sword Gate Canyon to meet with Ji. You needn't worry. This battle is merely increasing our costs, and even if we can't defeat the Shang dynasty quickly, as long as Liang Jinian is here, and the Miracle Soldier's heavenly book is with us, the right time, place, and people are still on our side. Because this is a signal. A scholar blessed by the immortal stabilizes the foundation in Ming State, which is akin to announcing to the whole world that the Shang dynasty's time is running out. Those who want to rebel are hesitant about rebelling or have already rebelled. Let them all go crazy together. In less than half a year, the Shang dynasty's interior will be completely plunged into chaos. Then the northern barbarians, Dongxing and Nansu country will swarm in, each getting a substantial share of the spoils. The Chao family, which has occupied the Central Plains for hundreds of years, should also give up their position. A battle for national fortune. This is a true battle for national fortune. Capital City. Longevity Palace. Dong'an, haha. From atop the dragon chair. Emperor Longqing, holding a battle report, his lips curving into a strange arc with a smile, said, Dong'an, who among you still remembers? He was the martial arts top scholar appointed by me. His betrothal was also granted by me. Even a few years ago when his son had an incurable disease, it was I who personally found the treasure medicine to cure him. And yet, for a heavenly book he has never even seen, he turned around and stabbed me in the back. Interesting. Really very interesting. Many officials in red robes knelt as one, including the chief minister Yen Liang. All of them pressed their heads against the ground, no one daring to raise their heads for another look. Only in a corner, on a wheelchair, sat a scholar with a calm face. When His Majesty is truly angry, he doesn't shout or scream. He speaks with a smile, just like now. Your Majesty, please calm your anger. The army has long since set out to quell the rebellion. I believe that within half a year, the situation in Ming State can definitely be stabilized. Anyone whose trusted aid betrays them, especially causing such a significant impact, would probably find it hard to accept. Where is Sun Xiangzong? Emperor Longqing swung the wide sleeves of his Taoist robe to rest on the sides of the dragon chair. Ever since I approved his expansion of the army, he has disappeared. With such a major incident occurring, shouldn't he return personally? Fong Qingyun, don't feign ignorance. I'm specifically asking you. In response to your majesty. Fong Qingyun spoke. I too do not know. I too was left in the capital city. Where he went, what he did. There must be some rough explanation, right? Emperor Longqing slightly narrowed his eyes. Did he go somewhere to heal? He can tell me he is my brother. Wouldn't I help him? Why waste his effort alone? Your Majesty, I truly do not know. Fong Qingyun sighed. The old man is not willing to tell me everything. Haha, all right. Let him be then. Emperor Longqing did not continue to inquire. Fong Qingyun, tell me, how will the situation in Ming State develop next? Oh, Chen Aiqing is also involved. He's your junior. He died in there. Don't you feel heartbroken? To die in battle is the fate of the 8 camps. There's nothing to grieve about. Fong Qingyun said leisurely. Moreover, further battle reports have not yet come back. Maybe it's not so bad. Oh, Emperor Longqing's mouth twitched into a smile. What? Can the remaining 20,000 men still create a miracle for me? Who knows? Fong Qingyun concealed his deep anxiety. Until the dust settles, anything is possible. This, in fact, was his prayer. Fine, I'll only give Lu Ji Jiang Yuanbua 3 months' time. If they cannot resolve it within 3 months. Emperor Longqing suddenly stood up. I will take the field myself. Golden Spring Manor. After trekking for over 2 months, the soldiers of the reserve camp finally had a day to breathe. Immediately, a new problem arose. Where to go next? General Zhao has sent a letter. Yusong, looking at the intelligence, said excitedly. He says if we attack from both front and rear, devour the small enemy force to the west, we can definitely take Wudong Prefecture. Hold out for another 2 months, and reinforcements are sure to arrive. It's too late. General Zhao and his troops have wandered too long, giving the enemy ample time to react. In a few more days at most, the Qi country army from the northwest will descend to the south. Chun Sansi threw cold water on the plan. Going there now would definitely lead to a clash. What? General Chun? Are you playing with us? Xie Sishu glared and said, brothers risked their lives fighting from Mingzue Mountain to Golden Spring Manor. And now you tell us we're not going to Wudong Prefecture? Chun Sansi countered. I only said we were coming to Golden Spring Manor. When did I say we were going to meet General Zhao? Everyone fell silent. Cough, cough, cough. The severely wounded Yusong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Quiet, General Chun. Then tell us, where do we go next? If we can't go to Wudong Prefecture, why not stay here and defend the city? There's still food and supplies in Golden Spring Manor. If we mobilize the citizens to defend the city as well, perhaps we can hold out for a while. We can instead make General Zhao come to us. Couldn't we? Yes. Yan Chongqing followed. Mobilize the citizens. We've been into the city several days without committing a single offense against the civilians. Our reputation is excellent, especially Brother Chen's reputation. When we entered Golden Spring Manor yesterday, many civilians came out to see, wanting to see which one was the Chun Sansi from Duhe. Brother Chun, if you speak, you can definitely mobilize many citizens. Chun Sansi said, we lack high realm martial artists. Even Vice Admiral Yu is injured. If a profound image realm arrives, how would we cope? This won't work. That won't work. Xie Sishu asked, then what are you suggesting, General Chun? We surely can't just sit here and wait to die. Of course not, so. Chun Sansi slapped his hand on the east side of the map. Cross the Hongzhe River again. Cross the Hongzhe River 3 times. Chapter 226. Crossing Hongzhe thrice. Hua Jin's small achievement. Are you playing tricks? We have already crossed the river twice, and crossing again makes it 3 times. Are you addicted? Madman, truly a madman. With 50 to 60,000 soldiers chasing us, you still want to turn back and cross the river? Do you think you can make it? Besides, the journey back and forth will take another half-month. I can't walk any further. If you want to go, go without me. Xiesishu said and sat down by himself. Lu Shuhua hugged his sword. Vice Admiral Yu, I still suggest we go find General Zhao, or stay and defend the city. You are our general, and there is no need to listen to him in everything. Ah! Yu Song removed his helmet and grabbed his hair in thought, clearly very conflicted. General Chun, are you sure? If we go back, won't we encounter a large army? He did not quite understand this route. Yet the previous 2 river crossings had proven one thing. Chun Sansi wasn't making assumptions. He had his own logic and ideas. If everyone else could not understand, it only showed that they were not up to his level. Old Yu, his only notable trait was his willingness to take advice, and he knew when he was incompetent, it was time to step aside. There's a chance, but it's not large. Chun Sansi pointed out a route on the map. After leaving the city, we head toward the central region, then cross through Longyang County, skirting Ingzue Mountain and crossing the Hengze River again. Right now, all the pursuers are drawn to Golden Spring, leaving the central region extremely vulnerable. The only thing we need to be cautious of is the enemy forces in Yangchun Prefecture City. Try not to draw their attention. Yangchun Prefecture? Hearing this, Lu Shuhua finally started to understand the intent. A spark of inspiration. I have a plan. If we really can get through Longyang County, wouldn't we be able to coordinate a pincer attack with the princely heir inside Yangchun Prefecture? No, Chun Sansi retorted. Our military force is not enough, and by the time we reach Longyang County, Yangchun Prefecture will have likely received some information and be somewhat prepared. If we go, it's not only useless in lifting the siege on Yangchun Prefecture but equivalent to delivering ourselves to death. So, our primary objective is still to cross the river. You all need to understand, during this period almost all of the large armies are now behind us. It's a time when Luotian Pass is vulnerable. We have a chance to slip through unexpectedly and escape to safety. All right? With a resolute heart, Yu Song declared, Damn it! I'm listening to you this time. My life is in your hands. My 8 wives and 12 children are still waiting at home. I promise to personally train a few of my sons in martial arts after returning. Vice Admiral Yu? Lu Shuhua and Xiesishu were puzzled. They did not understand why, as the battle progressed, a 1,000 captain became a de facto commander, and a formidable vice admiral was willing to obediently follow orders. Even absolute obedience wasn't an exaggeration. But let me be clear first. Yu Song squeezed a smile out of his pale face. If we encounter Meridian Passage again, and I can't fight anymore, General Chun, you'll have to deal with it yourself. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Chun Sansi internally calculated the time needed for the journey. If we set out immediately, we can cross the river before the rebel forces in Yangchun Prefecture react. Good. Yu Song abruptly stood up, almost falling due to his injuries, using his weapon as a crutch. Transmit my general orders. We leave Golden Spring before dawn and continue on our way. Yes. Lu Shuhua, Xiesishu, and Yan Chongqing, among others, naturally did not dare to disobey. Vice Admiral Yu, are you all right? Chun Sansi fumbled inside his coat and pulled out a porcelain bottle containing the healing treasure medicine given to him by his senior brother before they departed. This medicine is extremely precious. Yu Song wasn't shy. He took it and poured it into his mouth, feeling slightly better afterward. He looked towards the north, in the direction of Yangchun Prefecture, and suddenly spoke. Previously, General Sha and others insisted on following you eastward to cross the river. Were they trying to kill us? General Chen, did you know about this all along? Chun Sansi didn't speak, which amounted to a tacit acknowledgement. Heh! Yu Song scoffed, a departure from his usual composed demeanor, spitting curses. Damn their pettiness. They lost a selected point and couldn't take it. Instead of settling it fair and square in the arena after returning, they resort to such dishonorable means on the battlefield, scheming against their comrades. To make it look unbiased, they even dragged me and my 3,000 brothers into their schemes. Among them, several have the body of Marshal Saint. They are the hope of the 8 camps and even the Northern Territory. This Chao Fan is still a princely heir, in the line of succession. He's the future emperor. Such a person. Does he even deserve the vast lands of Dashing? I'm from the Black Tortoise camp, and I despise such people the most. Black Tortoise camp? Chun Sansi curiously asked. Vice Admiral Yu. Which year did you join the Black Tortoise camp? Longqing 58. Yu Song recalled, saying, the person I admire the most is General Tang, who led from the front, dying on the city wall without taking a single step back. Unlike these people who bring calamity upon their comrades. If the 8 camps fall into their hands, they'll be doomed within 10 years. 58 years. Chun Sansi pondered internally. The Black Tortoise camp had been completely wiped out in Longqing 57, which meant that Yu Song had never seen Wang Ji and didn't know that General Tang had always been with them. But due to his limited cultivation, he was only a captain of 100. General Chun. Yu Song said, you, young and highly skilled in cultivation, are clever. The Northern Territory truly depends on you in the future. Thus, no matter what, you all must survive and leave this forsaken place. As your main general, I have that responsibility. Chapter 227. Crossing Hengzi thrice. Hua Jin small achievement _2. Vice Admiral Yu, you flatter me. Chun Sansi looked at the fishbelly white rising in the east. We should set off. Yes, let's go. Yen State. Old 2. Did you see it? Rong Yenshio rushed into the tent, excitedly saying, grain and fodder. The little junior brother is still alive. Not only alive, but also burned down the granary of Golden Spring Manor along with the supply path. When she saw the intelligence report, she almost thought it was fake. More than 3,000 people, after dividing their forces, not only did they not die under encirclement, but they also destroyed the enemy's most crucial grain supply. No matter how the situation in Ming State unfolds from here, it could definitely be considered a major accomplishment. Yes. Cheng Wei, while working his abacus, said, now that's good. The cost of this battle for the West Qi Kingdom will double. I bet Zhong Wuxin is pissed off. The junior brother's death was worth it. Death. Rong Yenshio, who had just been overjoyed, felt as though she had been doused with cold water. Old 2. What do you mean? What do I mean? Do I need to say it? Ninth junior sister is not ignorant of military strategy, Cheng Wei said calmly. After this battle, where else could they go? Rong Yenshio fell silent. Is there enough time? Stop thinking about it. Whether it's us or the elder brother on the other side, it's too late to save them. Cheng Wei spoke calmly. But it doesn't matter. The little junior brother has saved us so much trouble. I will remember him. In the future, on every Memorial Day, I will not fail to burn paper offerings for him. I'll burn you. Rong Yenshio snatched the abacus directly. Old 2. Cut the crap. Tell me, how can the little junior brother survive? Cheng Wei said helplessly. Ninth junior sister. Pressing me is useless. There really is no way, unless they find the non-existent escape route themselves. Otherwise, no one coming would help. Start preparing the spirit money ahead of time. Bullshit. Rong Yenshio couldn't be bothered to ask any more and muttered. You can't find a way to survive, but can't the little junior brother find one? You didn't imagine the granary burning either. You just knock on that abacus all day long. Your brain is broken. It's true. Cheng Wei had to admit. The little junior brother is comparable to Old 4. In this regard, I am not as good as him. Then, let's hope he has a natural lucky aura. 400 li west of Golden Spring Manor, Zhao Wuji's remnant camp. They left? How could they leave? Zhao Wuji looked at the message brought back by Hai Dongqing, his features stiff. Without joining me, where could they go? Tong Prefecture is the best next stop. Commander, it's bad news. 200 li in the west. A West Qi army of 20,000 has been discovered, along with 2 mysterious phenomenon realm commanders. Did Chun Sansi know already? Zhao Wuji quickly summoned his scribe. Wait, can't I just join them? I'll defect to them. But it was probably too late. Even Hai Dongqing had a big delay. It was only today that he received the intelligence. But Yu Song had likely led his forces several days' journey away by now. not to mention the pursuing forces from Golden Spring Manor. Even if they defeated that pursuing force, by the time they reached Golden Spring Manor, tens of thousands of enemy troops would probably have just arrived. This kid. Zhao Wuji sat despondently on a rock. He's played us all. Even he, looking over the marching route of the reserve camp, had been utterly convinced at one point that they were coming to join him. Fine then, he didn't know if that kid could survive, but if he had the guts to use this kind of daring strategy, the 8 camps would likely see another Fang Qingyun emerge. No, perhaps even stronger than Fang Qingyun. If only I had known earlier. If Zhao Wuji had changed his strategy sooner, why would his Liangzhou troops have come to such a pass? All troops, break out. Yangchun Prefecture, Rebel Army Camp. Dong'an looked at the map hanging on the wall, his expression solemn. In front of him there was also a chessboard, a game he played with Chun Sansi, with himself playing black and the opponent white. But he could only see the opponent's last move, guessing how to respond to the current play. Every misjudgment led to irreparable consequences, and he had already miscalculated once. He could not afford another mistake. For him, it was no longer about victory in battle. It was about the dignity of a commander. A general's incompetence spells disaster for his troops. That saying was fitting. Fang Qingyun was one thing. If he, Dong'an, truly lost to a young man, what face would he have left to live, what face to challenge Fang Qingyun? That guy wasn't even into martial arts for more than a year. Click! Eventually, his fingers pressed the chess piece hard down on the board. Die! The original garrison forces of Golden Spring Manor hadn't sent back any news until now. Which means no grain supply. Even Golden Spring Manor might well have fallen. Such fast speed. They were definitely unable to have horses when crossing the river back and forth unless the war horses could also march and fight, waiting by the river in advance. There must be a rare breed of treasured horse, and it's one of the most precious in the world. He, 1,000 captain, where could he get such an exotic beast? It's already illogical. So, this defeat is still excusable. Dong'an consoled himself internally. Fortunately, it ends here. All the calculations for marching and fighting, attrition, and even morale passed swiftly through his mind. This was his unique skill, born to wage war with his own mind. According to his estimation, the reserve camp, whether joining Zhao Wuji's remaining forces or staying to defend Golden Spring Manor, was on a path to death. A message would likely come in a day or two. Commander, the grain supplies have arrived. If they've arrived, then continue the siege. Is there a need to ask me? Chapter 228. Crossing Hungza thrice, Hua Jin small achievement _3. But Commander, you haven't paid attention to those people in Yangchun Prefecture City for a long time. Are you sure we don't need to devise a new siege strategy? Why fixate on those few thousand remnants of defeated soldiers? What do you know? Dong'an scolded. What's imprisoned in the city are mere objects. What I fear most on the battlefield are variables. Now that the provisions have arrived, all you need to do is to continue the fierce attack. As long as the remnants of the reserve camp are not dead, I shall not leave the central army tent for a moment. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. Commander, do you want to eat something? You haven't eaten for 5 days already. Where's the intelligence? The intelligence from the chasing army. Report. Golden Spring Manor reports. Upon hearing this, Dong'an suddenly stood up. A soldier rushed into the tent in haste, knelt on one knee, opened his mouth, but ultimately said nothing. What are you dawdling for? Dong'an's eyes were bloodshot as he rushed forward, grabbed the soldier by the fabric under his armor, and lifted him almost into the air. Why aren't you speaking? Don't tell me they actually managed to meet up with Zhao Wuji and fought their way to Wutong Prefecture. The soldier stammered. That's not it. Dong'an's suspended heart settled down, only to hear the soldier continue. But they were not annihilated either. We don't know where they went. The major army drew a blank. Drew a blank. Dong'an's eyelids twitched continuously. Say it again. Make it clear. Commander, the forces sent for the chase not only included those from the east bank of the Hungza River, but also the large troops sent from north of the Wushui River in Maishan Prefecture, adding up to a total of 40 to 50,000. But by the time they arrived at Golden Spring Manor, they found it was an empty city. The remnants of the reserve camp had long since disappeared. Vanished a second time? Dong incredulously threw down the soldier, took 2 or 3 steps back to the maps, and scrutinizing the situation anew, beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead as if he had just fought a 300 rounds battle. The situation with the remnants of the reserve camp, with pursuers both ahead and behind, fleeing south over the Wushui River was impossible. That left only one path, heading north, passing through the central region. What were they planning? Rumble. Just at this moment, the sky, which had been clear just a short while ago, suddenly filled with dense clouds. After several flashes of lightning, a downpour began. Dong suddenly realized they were planning a surprise attack. If they were indeed heading north, they would either be near Longyang County in 2 or 5 days. Then, together with Sha Wenlong and others besieged in Yangchun Prefecture, they would launch a pincer attack and catch us off guard, potentially breaking through. Then, they would move to Sword Gate Canyon to assist the soon-to-arrive GG and others in opening up the situation. Good plan. Good plan. Too bad. He had guessed it one step earlier. Pass my command. Dong excitedly said, all troops on alert, and additionally dispatch 5,000 soldiers to Camp 50 Li to the south. Should the enemy attack the camp, they are only allowed to retreat in feigned defeat, luring the people from Yangchun Prefecture to attack our main camp. Then set up an ambush here, see it clearly? Once the garrison from the city rushes out, they are on a path to death. He finally saw through the young man's intent. Smartness has led to his own deceit. Initially, Sha Wenlong and his men hid in the city, and we couldn't take it down in a short time. Now this makes things much easier. Even if a small part of them manages to break through in the end, they won't be able to stir any trouble within Ming State and retake Yangchun Prefecture. We can gradually build a new, safer supply route. This young man has actually helped me. Young. Still too young. Brilliant plan. The assistant generals also understood. If it really happens this way, the Liangzhou army is completely finished. Inside the city, Chun Sansi didn't go to find Zhao Wuji and his men. Instead, he is coming this way. Sha Wenlong narrowed his eyes. He's got guts, but he actually managed to escape, and now he's already near Longyang County. Coming here? Chao Fan was shocked. What are they planning to do? Come and help us break the siege? I don't know, but regardless of whether that's what they think, I will demand they do exactly that. Sha Wenlong said coldly. Given the heavy rain that might continue for several days, suddenly attacking with a surprise force will definitely disrupt the rebel army's formation. Then it will be our chance to break out. Is it feasible? Chao Fan pondered. Dong is ultimately obsessed with war. Wouldn't he anticipate this? What if he does? Sha Wenlong looked around. Young master, in our breakout, it's not like all the soldiers are breaking out together. Out of 10,000 men, if just 1,000 can make it, isn't it better than being trapped longer? The general speaks sense. Chao Fan voiced his concern. But will Chun Sansi and his men do as told obediently? After all, even if we successfully break out, there might not be many of them left surviving, and afterwards, there's nowhere for them to escape. They have no choice but to follow orders. Military orders are like mountains. Sha Wenlong spoke sternly. Even if that Chun lad is unwilling, Yusong must comply. That's the rule of the 8 camps. Even if it means their own demise, they must follow without any hesitation. Longyang County. Chun Sansi sheathed his long spear.
Cultivation technique, National Gardien Dragon Spear.
Hua Jin, mastered. Progress, 755/1000. Since arriving in Ming State several months ago, he had slept not at all, spending any extra time he had to elevate his power. With Yu Song severely injured, facing another enemy general would mean relying solely on himself. Fortunately, resources were plentiful and he used only the best, nearing the small achievement of Hua Jin. Once achieved, he could enhance his weapons with power, thus doubling his strength. Even if facing an opponent from the Meridian Passage realm, victory was not without chance. Chapter 229. Crossing Hungza 3 times. Hua Jin Small Achievement _4. The West. The battle at Sword Gate Canyon has already begun. Chun Sansi didn't pause for a moment and hurried to the resting area of the enemy to deliver the vital intelligence. However, they still cannot break through. We cannot rely on reinforcements for the time being, so we must depend on ourselves. General Chun, what are our next steps? Yu Song asked. Do we proceed to cross the river directly? Before crossing the river, we need a feint, a pretense of attacking their camp, Chun Sansi explained. Otherwise, they'll quickly catch on, and when we're halfway across the river, Yangchun Prefecture could easily spare some of the troops besieging it to come at us. If the marching speed slows down, the army from behind will catch up too. All right, Yu Song said. By Tingji, the task of the feint attack still falls to you. How about it? No problem, Bai Tingji assured. Give me old Su to lead us. Be careful, Chun Sansi warned. This feint will be more dangerous than the last. I estimate that your losses will not be small. Rest assured, sir. Su Wenkai bowed with his hands folded. I will do everything possible to reduce casualties without arousing the suspicion of the enemy army. However, the feint attack might be delayed by half a day later than expected. I wonder if that's feasible? I plan to wait until the rain stops so that it will be easier to use fire. With not enough men, 1 fire, 2 drum beats, and 3 flags are the best way to confuse the enemy. Are you sure the rain is about to stop? Old Su, you understand heavenly phenomena as well? Chun Sansi agreed. No problem. You have a day's time to arrange it yourself. Yes. Su Wenkai went down to make arrangements. This younger brother is quite the talent. Yu Song teased, Brother Chun, to find such a treasure in a single county of Payong, with no official position. It's really a waste of his abilities. Along the way, Su Wensai's abilities had been clear for all to see. The only pity was that he possessed no cultivation. Yes, if we can return alive, Chun Sansi said. I will personally write a petition and see if I can ask His Majesty to grant old Su an official post. This can't go on like this. In this world, the military is mostly dominated by martial artists. Even Fang Qingyun, he too was once a martial arts genius. Good. Let us also prepare to depart. Vice Admiral Yu was about to order the remaining people to prepare to move on when he saw another Hai Dongxing flying in, seemingly from the direction of Yangchun Prefecture. After General Chun obtained the intelligence, he fell into silence for a long time without speaking, prompting Yu Song to ask, What's going on? Chun Sansi answered, General Shah has ordered us to change direction and strike at the enemy camp from the side and rear, to assist them in breaking out, and ultimately to crush the rebel forces outside of Yangchun Prefecture. Isn't this the same as what I had in mind earlier? Lu Shuhua said, Should we not give it a try? Try my ass. Yu Song cursed. At this point, do you still not trust General Chen's judgment? Without him, do you think we could have survived this far? Lu Shuhua remained silent. Yen Chongqing added, That's right, Brother Lu, Brother Xie. Even I can see. This is an order for us to go and die, using our demise to pave their escape route. That's not the point. Yu Song's voice carried anger. If it were any other time, with Sha Wenlong as the commander, we would have no choice but to die if he ordered it. But have you forgotten what that Sha bastard did not long ago? To go against General Chun, he threw us out of Yangchun Prefecture as well, forcing us to cross the river to the east. Does such a man deserve our loyalty and service? Oh right, there's something else you might not know. Do you remember the incident with the Yu Yang sect? At that time, I was always with Sha Wenlong. Remember how he hesitated to help after hearing the arrow signal, concerned about luring the tiger from the mountain? It wasn't until later that I understood he wanted others to do his killing. He planned to use Huang Tianrong, the sect master of the Yu Yang sect, to kill General Chun, making way for Chao Fan to ascend. If I can survive this time, I will certainly petition against him. To think of going with the brothers to save him, do you think that's possible? But Vice Admiral Yu, Xiesishu said, what you're talking about is all speculative. There's no evidence and military orders are inviolable, aren't they? Yes. Military orders are inviolable. This was also why Chinsansi was worried. If the commander demands assistance with the breakout and they refuse to go knowing the danger, it's more than a death penalty. Moreover, the responsibility for disobeying would normally fall on the highest-ranking officer, which was Yusong. Afraid my ass. Yusong swore, if I say we aren't going, then we aren't going. As for disobedience, don't worry about it landing on you. Chun Sansi reminded, Vice Admiral Yu, that's a capital offense. Capital offense? We're not necessarily going to make it out alive anyway. Yusong then laughed. If we do make it out alive, isn't there the merit of burning the granaries? With the merits offsetting our offenses, and General Chun has connections, a word from him on my behalf by then, wouldn't that settle it? Good. In light of the gravity of the situation, Chun Sansi couldn't afford to be concerned about the rest at the moment. If it really comes to it upon their return, he'll find a way to plead on their behalf. Let's move out. Yusong issued the command, proceed with the original plan. Bai Tingji carries out the feint attack, and everyone else, cross the Hongze River 3 times. Inside Yangchun Prefecture City. It's almost time, Sha Wenlong said. According to my orders, they will launch the attack in 2 hours. Once there's chaos below, we'll launch a full assault, striving to break through the north, and then head straight for Sword Gate Canyon. General Liu has already joined the battle there and has responded to us. As long as we can leave Yangchun Prefecture, he will make every effort to come to our aid. Chapter 230. Crossing Hongze thrice. Small achievement in Huajin_5. Okay. Chao Fan expressed his concern. The only uncertainty is whether they will follow through, as it effectively asks them to cover our breakout with their lives. Yusong comes from Xuanwu camp. He won't disobey orders, said Chun Sansi. Sha Wenlong said, of course, to be on the safe side, we can prepare within the city first, and it won't be too late to leave after there's activity outside the city. Midnight. Dark clouds hovered oppressively over the city as if ready to crush it. The surviving soldiers within the city quietly completed their preparations, ready to break out at any moment. It had been over 5 months. Since arriving in Ming State, almost half a year had inadvertently passed. During this time, having lived and fought alongside these soldiers, Chao Fan had gradually grown fond of them, a feeling he had never experienced while in the capital city or the imperial palace. I can truly consider myself a man who has led troops and fought battles now, he said feelingly. He reminisced, General Sha, speaking of tonight's breakout, we have at most 1,000 people left. Will the losses be too great? Wouldn't it be better to hold out a bit longer? Young master, you should know that the city has run out of food and supplies. Even the warhorses have been nearly all slaughtered. If we drag this out, they are destined to die anyway. If they grow too hungry, there might even be a mutiny. I've heard some are already restless. Sha Wenlong paused, then continued. Their lives are not as valuable as the young master's life, not to mention 10,000 people, even 20,000 or 50,000. As long as the young master can make it out alive, it would be worth it. Report. In the midst of the discussion, a severely wounded scout returned on a horse and collapsed to the ground, mustering his strength to report. Outside the city, the battle has begun. How is the fight progressing? Sha Wenlong pressed. Did they attack the enemy camp with all their might as ordered? The sky is ablaze with fire, and the momentum is staggering, the scout replied. Good. That means they are obediently following orders. Sha Wenlong raised his broadsword high and shouted, Brothers, follow me out of the city to break through. Tonight, we escape to freedom. Charge! The gates of Yangchun Prefecture swung wide open. 9,000 soldiers swarmed out, leaving. Initially, everything went smoothly, until they reached 40 li outside the city, when suddenly, from all directions, dense ambush troops appeared. Don't panic. Sha Wenlong anticipated this. Hold on. They will soon turn back to deal with Yusong's remnants. Their forces will quickly dwindle. However, the situation quickly spiraled out of control. Instead of decreasing, the number of enemy troops encircling them grew even more numerous. How could this be? Sha Wenlong was momentarily stunned. They have over 3,000 troops, and it was a surprise attack. They should have dispersed 10,000 soldiers to encircle them. Could they have fled? Sha Wenlong, meet your end. In the chaos, the enemy's profound image realm general Xiang Tian led an elite squad charging towards them. We can't break out. Retreat, retreat. Sha Wenlong had no intention of lingering in battle, immediately leading his soldiers back the way they came. Young master, stay close to me. But while it was easy to leave the city, returning was difficult. After a night of fierce battle, fortunately, the 1,000 men left behind allowed them not to be completely wiped out. They managed to return to the city by dawn, but the losses were staggeringly heavy. Out of 10,000 men, only 3,000 remained. Ah! In his rage, Sha Wenlong roared and nearly killed the scout who had brought the news with a slash of his sword. Idiot! Didn't you say you saw with your own eyes that they were fighting to the south, and the enemy forces were being defeated? General, it's true, I swear. I saw it with my own eyes, the scout said tearfully. I also don't know why they retreated so quickly. Shoo! Finally, the High Dongqing that had been sent out returned. Idiot! Sha Wenlong's hands trembled as he held the report. Disobedience! That Chun, how dare he disobey? The attack was a feint. Their forces are moving past Ingzue Mountain towards the east, preparing to cross the Hengze River for the 3rd time. Triple crossing. I knew it. Chao Fan wasn't too surprised. Chen Sansi would never be willing to risk his life for us. He's not even an assistant general. I had even assigned an assistant general to him before I sent him out. Fury uncontainable, Sha Wenlong exclaimed. How dare Yusong disobey orders? Is he tired of living? I will kill him, and after we return, I will hang his head on the gates of Liangzhou City for all to see. We could have held out a while longer. But now only 3,000 men remained. The fall of our city is a matter of time. What are they doing crossing 3 times? Heading south? Chao Fan frowned. Trying to flee? They can't run, in their dreams. Sha Wenlong said. There are still troops in Mei Mountain, and a large army is pursuing from the flank. Meanwhile, in the rebel army's camp. Drive! Dong Anqin spurred his horse furiously forward, followed by 5,000 elite troops. The fools of Yangchun Prefecture were basically taken care of. It wouldn't be long before the city fell and their people perished. His primary goal was to personally twist off Chun Sansi's head to relieve the hatred in his heart. Twice he had been made a fool. The remnants of the reserve camp, none higher than the Meridian Passage realm, wouldn't pose any threat with him personally in charge. Brothers, whoever chops off Chun Sansi's head will be rewarded with gold, and I will personally ensure his resources to reach the Meridian Passage. Attack! Hush! You, what are you doing? Dongan looked at his subordinates, who should have been engaged in battle with the remnants of the reserve camp at this time, but were idly standing around. His heart sank. What are you doing here? Where are the people? Sir, there's no one. The soldiers stammered in reply. No one? Nonsense, there was such a commotion earlier, was it a feint? If they aren't here to attack Yangchun Prefecture, where else could they be going? Could it be? Chapter 231. Crossing Hengze 3 times. Small achievement in Huajin_6. Dong'an suddenly thought of something, and his vision darkened. His whole body rigidly fell from the horse. Commander! Commander! How are you? It was unknown how much time had passed before Dong'an slowly opened his eyes. This moment seemed to age him by 10 years, 20 years, from the spirited vigor at the start of the battle, turning into someone resembling an old man. Quick! He seemed to have received a grievous injury, his voice extremely weak. They must have crossed the Hengze River the 3rd time, Quickly notify Jia Laosi. If I remember correctly, after he pursued them to the East Bank last time, did he stay on the East Bank? Tell him he must block Chen Sansi. Also inform Liang Jinian from Mei Mountain. He must determine the troop deployments at Luotian Pass according to the situation. Absolutely do not let them escape the Great Wilderness. Otherwise, we'll never catch up. Yes. Help me up. Help me up. All those present couldn't understand how a prominent commander of the profound image realm could be so utterly deflated just because the enemy army had fled. It wasn't as if they had lost the battle. With help, Dong'an stood up, laughing at himself. 3 times. He tricked me 3 times. Every time, I was just a half step slower than him, just a half step, and this half step was deadly. If someone could look down upon Ming State as one does upon the land, they would see that this time, Chen Sansi and his men had nearly brushed past the edge of the large army, passing by shoulder to shoulder, just short of a face-to-face greeting. How could he have been played like this after a lifetime of warfare? Was this what Fang Qingyun taught him? No. Even Fang Qingyun couldn't do this. When replaced by Fang Qingyun, at most, he might have burned the provisions and then gone on to attack other cities. This young man, how could he utilize such tactics? Was he really born for warfare? Or who did he learn from? He was leading tens of thousands of troops by the nose. 3,000 men, toying with tens of thousands. Next, it was the last chance. If Luotian Pass fell, it would be like releasing the tiger back into the mountain. Hongze River. Chen Sansi led everyone to cross the river once again. Chen Sun and his subordinates found a place to hide. Bai Thingji and Su Wenkai, who were in charge of the rear, also arrived on time. This time they suffered heavy losses. They set out with 900 men and returned with just over 600. Sir, gasping for breath, Su Wenkai said, Yangchun Prefecture can't hold any longer. The spies sent back news that last night Sha Wenlong and his men failed to break through and retreated back into the city, and at most only 3,000 or 4,000 people are left. A few more fierce attacks, and either the city will fall and its people perish, or they will abandon the city and flee, being pursued until death. Upon hearing this, Lu Shuhua, Xie Sishu, and Yen Chongqing all felt a sense of dread. It seemed Dong'an really had laid down a net of heaven and earth early on, just waiting for them to fall into it, and it was fortunate they last heeded Chen Sansi's advice to cross the Hongze River 3 times, which allowed them to barely snatch a sliver of survival. At this moment, none of these 3 men dared to harbor the slightest arrogance. Throughout the journey, even the most obstinate person had to admit defeat to Chen Sansi's correct judgment time and again. Imperceptibly, he had effectively become the supreme commander. General Chen, we've crossed the river again, what now? Yes. A large force will soon be pursuing us from behind. We will all listen to you, guaranteed no objections. Rest in place for 3 days. Chen Sansi said, after 3 days we'll head south first. There might be a tough battle in between, after which we'll make further plans. He had a rough plan in mind. But the war situation was changing in real time, and it was useless to speak ahead of time. From Yingzue Mountain to now, another 20 days had gone by. The places on the map that didn't seem far, when actually traversed, were incredibly stretched, and this was why the pursuers had always been far behind, unable to catch up. They were resting in place for 3 days partly because everyone was nearly collapsing, and partly because he was on the verge of a breakthrough. No matter the future direction, someone had to stand up. Yusong's body had been pierced by several knives previously, stopping just short of vital areas. It would take 2 more months to recover to full strength, and the one to carry the flag had to be Chen Sansi himself. Ha! Chen Sansi persevered through the fatigue, consuming the last of the spiritual rice medicine ointment, then started practicing his spear technique. 3 days later, with countless experiences of breaking through bottlenecks before, this time was exceptionally smooth. With each move he executed, he could distinctly feel the outer strength starting to become more consistent. From the initial ebbing and flowing like tides, it transformed into a continuous surge like ocean waves, and finally a tsunami, covering the sky and endlessly raging. Buzz! Finally, Chun Sansi's 5 tigers' soul-breaking spear started emitting a continuous buzzing sound, indicating that the power was circulating and enhancing within the profound iron, capable of unleashing immense force.
Cultivation technique, national gardien dragon spear.
Hua Jin, small achievement. Progress, 0/2000. Utility, power stored in the weapon. Hua Jin's small achievement, Jinli holding weapon. Jinli holding weapon. Overpowering, with tremendous force and weight. Unlike the previous mere storage, now Chun Sansi could accumulate power inside his body just by holding the weapon and then unleash a force stronger with each instance. Similar to the moon-splitting saber technique from Moon-Splitting Mountain Villa, as long as his own power didn't exhaust, the force could continue increasing. Of course, there was a limit. It couldn't increase indefinitely. After a brief experience, Chun Sansi was certain that if he encountered the likes of Sukai again, he could easily defeat him within 5 rounds without needing tactics like the backward charge spear. As for the Meridian Passage, he wasn't actually in true combat with Meridian Passage before. The previous 2 encounters were purely annihilating the opponent, so he wasn't clear about the limits of the Meridian Passage realm, but what was certain was, he definitely wouldn't be unable to respond. That was enough. There were only a few in the Profound Image realm. Ming State's martial saint was only Zhong Wuxin from West Qi country. These people were far beyond reach. As long as he could handle Meridian Passage, no matter what situation arose, he could be much more composed. Let's go. Head south. 3,000 soldiers fully equipped, set off again. Chapter 232. 4 crossings of Hongzhe, straight to the heart. Liangzhou, June 27th. Bang! It's broken. It's all broken. Sun Buki rushed into the courtyard and said, "The last time we received news was when Shansher burned the granary, and then there was no movement at all. Keep it down." Sun Li glanced inside the room. "Sister Lan is going to give birth in 2 or 3 months. Don't let her hear." Ah! Sun Buki held a roll of maps in his hands, which he spread out directly on the ground. "Sister, so much time has passed, and now the situation is that Senior Brother and Senior Sister 9 have all gone to war. Even the troops from the capital have entered the Great Wilderness, and in at most 1 more month, there definitely should be reinforcements entering the heart of Ming State. But the problem is, Shansher has already lost contact. Sister, don't cry. I am not saying Shansher is definitely dead. He ended up having to comfort her in return. Last time Shansher lost contact, it was for 2 months too, and in the end it was fine. This time it will definitely be fine as well. It's really exasperating. He had not seen his sister cry since their mother had died." Creak! The door was pushed open. Gu Xinlan, dressed in a loose gown, walked out with the support of Si Qin. "What are you 2 talking about?" Sun Li hurriedly wiped her tears. "It's nothing, Sister Lan." As she spoke, she fiercely twisted Sun Buki's arm, even using her Qi blood power. Hiss! Sun Buki grimaced in pain and hurriedly put away the map. "Sister Lan, let's go back inside." Sun Li couldn't even manage a smile. "I think the clothes I made for my disciple this time are quite pretty." "Enough. I've heard it all." Gu Xinlan took out a handkerchief and gently wiped the corner of the other's eye. "There's trouble in Ming State, right? I noticed something was off last time, but it's okay. That scoundrel loves to play this disappearing act. He'll be back soon." As she spoke, she hugged Sun Li in comfort, patting her shoulder. To hell with this defiance. Sun Buki couldn't stand it any longer, grabbed the map, and took off running. Ming State, Zhengkou County. Daughter, Mister. See, I beg you, let my daughter go." "To hell with you." Jia Lao Si impatiently drew a gleaming Yenling knife. "Old man, if you want to die, just say so." Behind him, a young maiden was forcibly tied up and thrown into a horse cart. "Mister. See, have mercy. She's my only daughter." Poochie. The flash of a knife. The old man was instantly cleaved in 2. "Next one." Mr. Jia sheathed his knife. "Brothers, hurry up. I'll give you 2 more hours. Loot what you want. Kill whom you wish. After that, we're moving to the next city." "Ha ha ha ha. Right. The Red Eyebrow Army pillaged from house to house. Mr. C. Back when you attacked Genko County, it was we, the common people, who opened the gates for you. You even promised before to provide us with food. But everything has changed. Everything has changed. When you needed us to open the gates, we were useful. Now we're good for nothing, just wasting food by being alive. Mr. Jia looked at the wailing populace on both sides. Massacre the city. Damn it. I've been through 2 city slaughters recently, and I was so tired. I planned to merely rob a bit here and leave. But since you don't appreciate kindness, I suppose I'll have to push myself more. Go wild, brothers. Blood slowly seeped through the cracks of the citizens' doors, gathering on the streets and forming a long crimson river. Mr. C. A Red Eyebrow Army general emerged from an alley. It's about time we head to Lo Tian Pass. Dong sent a messenger saying that the reserve camp survivors might flee to our location, urging us to be on our guard. Nonsense. Do you think I don't know military tactics? Mr. Jia said carelessly. They don't have wings. Didn't they just escape from here 2 months ago and even burn down Golden Spring Manor? How can they possibly get here so quickly? Mr. C, I think it's better to be cautious. The general advised. Think about it. Once you conquer the entire Ming state and even half the country, what does this momentary pleasure count for? You make sense. Mr. Jia, grinning, said. Then let's hurry the brothers up to finish off here and then we can move on. Besides, what are you worried about? Isn't Luo Tian Pass still guarded by 3,000 men? Even if they do come, they won't be able to break through anytime soon. Mr. C, they're here. A Red Eyebrow Army foot soldier ran over frantically, shouting. We've spotted over 3,000 of the enemy outside the city. They really came. How did they manage it? The smile vanished from Mr. Jia's face, and he said sternly, How far away are they? Right outside the city gates. What? Mr. Jia kicked him. What are you all good for? It's dark, we couldn't see, Mr. C. The Red Eyebrow Army foot soldier knelt on the ground, pleading. Only when the dawn broke did we see that it was densely packed with people, emerging like ghosts from the hills, terrifying indeed. Useless. Mr. Jia, though unruffled, commanded, Quick! Gather everyone for the defense. There were still a few hundred soldiers on the city walls. Even though the enemy was already outside the walls, they could still hold them off for a while, giving them enough time to rally. The reserve camp's remnants amounted to no more than 3,000 people, and their rapid arrival implied they certainly lacked armaments and siege equipment. Even if the Red Eyebrow Army had only 2,000 men, they would still be enough to wear them down. After all, there should be tens of thousands of pursuers right behind them. Hum! The horns sounded. The Red Eyebrow Army, still in a frenzied animalistic state, instantly snapped to attention and rushed out of the houses, some pulling up their trousers, others stuffing silver into their clothes. Chapter 233, 4 Crossings of Hungza, striking directly at the heart_2. Folks, let's fight them. Open the city gate. I heard him. It's Mr. Chun who was stationed in Genko County before. Upon hearing the situation, one by one, the townspeople near the city gate rushed out from their hiding places. They were definitely not afraid to resist. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered, let alone people. With knives at their necks, they certainly knew to fight for their lives. But unarmed as they were, how could they stand a chance against the Red Eyebrow Army? They could only flee. But it was different if someone outside the city was storming it. All they needed to do was open the city gate, and the people outside could naturally rush in. And it was said to be the reserve camp. That meant Mr. Chun and his troops had returned. The same Chun Sansi from the crossing of the river. And a few months ago, when the reserve camp was stationed in Genko County, they committed no offenses. If they could break in, everyone wouldn't have to die. Charge! For a moment, with hoes, bamboo rakes, sickles, and even kitchen knives, countless townspeople cried out as they rushed toward the city gate. What are you doing? Troublemakers! Damn! No wonder the imperial lords despised you. On the city wall, the Red Eyebrow army was at a loss, hesitating between descending to kill the citizens or continuing to guard the wall. Near the city gate, there were only a dozen or so Red Eyebrow soldiers, all of whom were array soldiers with no real skill. The higher-ranked ones who had real power had long gone to loot and kill inside the city, as they would not bother with menial tasks like guarding a gate. After killing a few dozen civilians, the dozen Red Eyebrow soldiers were completely overwhelmed and turned into masses of flesh under the hoes and sickles. "Stop it! Vile scum! Vile scum!" The Red Eyebrow soldiers inside the city, even if reacting quickly, needed time. By the time they arrived, it was already too late. They saw with their own eyes the city gates flung open, and thousands of elite soldiers clad in uniform armor rushing orderly into the city. Kill! Execute the rebels. Pacify the Northwest. Don't let them form any formations. Chinsansi noticed. This group of Red Eyebrow soldiers had a spirit far stronger than the last time he encountered them in Baigo County. If they were allowed to execute their formation, it would only lead to unnecessary losses. "Mr. C, what should we do? Should we retreat?" "Retreat my ass, do you think there's still time? Besides, what are you panicking for?" Jialao Si, drawing his sword, said, "The intelligence reported only one meridian passage, and I too am at the meridian passage. Kill them. Leave not a single piece of armor." "He's a meridian passage." After chopping down a Red Eyebrow soldier, Yusong anxiously said, "I've seen the portrait of this man. Before we set out for Ming State, we received portraits of the high-ranking Red Eyebrow officers. He's the former leader of Meishan Mountain Village. His real name is Jia Yutian, probably entry-level meridian passage. My realm is higher than his, but with severe injuries, I'm not his match alone. General Chun, shall we team up? I'll take the lead, and you find a way to attack from behind. Vice Admiral Yu, you tackle the Huajin Meridian Passage. I'll go." Bang! Before the opponent could react, Chun Sansi suddenly charged, his feet leaving a huge crater on the stone path, and in the blink of an eye he was tens of yards away. Yusong stood frozen in place for 2 breaths. Could he already be able to kill through the Meridian Passage? Unable to dwell on his shock, he dragged his injured body into the fray. Z. Jialao Si slashed to death a dashing soldier in front of him, then saw a young general carrying a long spear rushing towards him at a speed so fast it seemed like a mutated shadow leopard, leaving trails of afterimages in his vision. Young, with a long spear, valiant. Chun Sansi? Hey, courting death. Jialao Si's expression turned dark. The intelligence from Yangchun Prefecture had specifically emphasized that if he encountered Chun Sansi, he must kill him. He really walked right into the trap, like a pie falling from the sky. This guy, when he set out from Liangzhou, was only at refining internal organs perfection. This kid is audacious. Without Yusong, what made him think he could confront him? Even if he had achieved Huajin, how could he possibly stand a chance against someone in the Meridian Passage realm? Perfect. After killing him, I'll exchange him for a chance to slaughter a larger city. The nearby counties are terribly poor, while the wealthier households in Prefecture City have tender wives. Shoo, shoo, shoo. While his opponent was running, arrows started flying, one after another without him noticing when they had been drawn. A 50-stone bow? Jialao Si sneered as he effortlessly blocked the arrows. Playing pretty tough, but this broken thing is useless against a martial artist above Huajin, when there were just a few dozen steps left. Chun Sansi's hand tightened around his long spear again. Blood explosion, storage, Shen Yuan's internal organs, blood of dragon elephant, 9 dragon living veins, etc. All enhancements simultaneously bolstered his physical body, unleashing a terrifying force that fused with the soul-breaking spear, tearing through the air like a sea dragon breaking out of the ocean. Jialao Si, having clawed his way up to the Meridian Passage realm from a bandit, naturally wasn't a simpleton. His hand wielding the Yenling knife daringly swooped up in a move called piercing the clouds to see the sun. The two forces collided, emitting a clang of metal striking against metal. Immediately afterward, Both parties retreated dozens of steps. Neither gained the upper hand. What's going on? Jia Laozi couldn't believe it. He could feel that although the opponent was indeed at Huajin, the force he exploded with was in no way inferior to his own at the Meridian Passage. Buzz! Before Jia Laozi could figure it out, the long spear came attacking again. He swung his knife to block. Another collision. Chapter 234. 4 Crossings of Hongzhe, striking directly at the heart_3. This round, he was subtly falling behind, and his opponent's power was still increasing. Absurd! Jia Laozi even thought he had developed hysteria as he roared out loud, finally no longer holding back and fighting with his full strength. However, he soon realized that something was terribly wrong. The kid's attacks were more fierce each time, bursting out with even greater power as if there were no limits. Not only that, as time passed, his own saber technique seemed to be slowly getting decoded, and the opponent could always predict his next move with precise accuracy. You are at Huajin, and not even great success, just small achievement. How could you have such powerful force? Damn it, I'm done fighting. I can't die. I must become a marquis in the future, to be above others. Jia Laozi's will to survive surged, unleashing unprecedented power. He desperately swung his blade to temporarily push back his opponent, but before he could escape, the silver spear would arrive at his heart again, forcing him to stop and continue the fierce battle. So it repeated. Every time he briefly gained some distance, he had to face even stronger attacks until he could no longer parry, his saber technique full of holes, his stance even more unstable. Puff! Zhao Long seized a moment to bite a bloody hole in his wrist. From then on, the victor was decided. Within 5 rounds, Jia Laozi's body was stabbed like a sieve, and finally, the martial soul-breaking spear pierced directly through his mouth and out the back of his head, completely ending his life. Chen Sansi pulled out the long spear, and before the body fell, he used the Jinhua sword to sever his head, then leapt onto the roof to overlook the brutal fighting in the streets and alleys, shouting loudly, "Jia Yutian is dead. You all might as well surrender. Mr. C. is dead." The Red Eyebrow Army all looked up, recognizing their leader, and exclaimed as they scattered and fled. Even though they were energized, they were ultimately a disorganized mob. Not to mention Chen Sansi's men who had the sinking formation death will. Even the regular soldiers of the reserve camp had stronger willpower. With their leader dead, the rest quickly dissipated. Moreover, they could not be allowed to escape. If they did, there's no telling how many more civilians of other counties would suffer their wrath. Defeated troops are often 100 times more dangerous than bandits. Kill! With the enemy general beheaded, the morale of the reserve camp skyrocketed, and the battle essentially turned into a one-sided slaughter, lasting from dawn till dusk, leaving the streets piled with bodies. I'm exhausted. Xie Sishu discarded his weapon and lay directly among the corpses, breathing deeply and heavily. These days were simply inhuman. Every day was either spent in the open or in desperate battles, without a moment's rest. The civilians of Jinko County had also participated, but after they opened the city gates, they couldn't help much. Now, seeing the battle over, they came out to whip the corpses. Then a lot of them knelt down. Mr. Chun. Thank you, Mr. Chun, for saving our lives. All of us here in Jinko County bow down to you. Stand up. There's no need to kneel. Chen Sansi was also somewhat exhausted. He raised his hand and said, "If anyone should be thanked, it should be you for desperately opening the city gates. Otherwise, taking it would have cost many lives." Lu Shuhua looked at Mr. Jia's head on the ground and kicked it with his foot. "General Chen, how did you kill him?" "Nothing special." Yusong, using the Mo blade as a cane, walked over leisurely. "You can even kill someone by hitting their meridian points. It seems I should really give up my position as Assistant General to you." "Vice Admiral Yu, stop joking and rest well," Chen Sansi replied. Chen Sansi also closed his eyes to rest. "After dawn, we still have to continue traveling. Skill. Commanding soldiers. Small achievement. Progress. 1555/2000. After months of fighting, the proficiency in commanding soldiers had skyrocketed by over 1,000, but reaching great success would still take some time. Yangchun Prefecture. General Sha. We can't hold it anymore. We only have 2,000 people left. No matter how many civilians we kill, they refuse to come and help us. What should we do? Why don't we open the gates and surrender? The people outside said as long as we surrender, they will allow us to join West Qi Kingdom, and you, General Sha, would still be a great general. What did you say? Pucci. With one slash, Sha Wenlong decapitated the soldier trying to persuade him to surrender. The head flew off far, and blood gushed out like a fountain from the carotid artery, splattering everywhere. His face ferociously twisted, he yelled at his men. Anyone who dares to weaken the army's spirit will end up just like him. Whoosh! Chao Fan dropped the azure dragon crescent blade and collapsed, sitting down with a look of despair. General, if you want to surrender, go ahead. I definitely won't blame you. Princely heir. What nonsense are you talking? Sha Wenlong quickly knelt on one knee. I, Sha Wenlong. No, I am no virtuous man, but I also know gratitude and paying back kindness. Generations of my family have received the Emperor's grace, and even young Master Yin is willing to go through fire and water for you. How could I not do the same? It's over. Chao Fan smiled bitterly and his expression grew numb. We can't hold it anymore. There's absolutely no food left, not even horses to slaughter. The soldiers have no will to defend the city, so how can we continue? Then we won't defend. Sha Wenlong violently ripped off his eye mask, revealing his terrifyingly scarred blind eye. First, we gather all the civilians inside the city and distribute weapons to them. Then all of us will dress as civilians. Let the civilians go in front while you and I won't follow the army but will blend with the fleeing people. Once we're 50 miles out of the city and into the deep mountains and forests, no one will be able to find us. And don't forget, General Liu has been fighting long enough that with his courage, he is bound to break through at Sword Gate Canyon. Then, it'll be time for our rescue. Chapter 235. 4 Crossings of Hongzhe, striking directly at the heart _4. To put it bluntly, it means abandoning everyone. 2 people running away have the highest chance of survival. Time reveals a person's heart. Adversity reveals true feelings. Chao Fan sighed. Who would have thought my Chao family in the Northern Territory would have such a loyal minister and capable general like you? By the way, does General Sha have any hope of breaking through to Marshal Saint? There is, but it's slim. Then there's a chance, Chao Fan said. As long as I can make it back alive, I will beg my father to train you with all his might. A loyal minister and capable general is much stronger than a mere genius. Thank you, young master. Sha Wenlong immediately went to arrange for the civilians to rush out first. Outside the city, rebel army camp. Dong'an didn't even wear his armor, dressed in casual clothes. His hair turned gray overnight, alarming the soldiers who couldn't comprehend the situation. What's the big deal about letting a few thousand people go? Why torment oneself to such an extent? Dong'an was looking at a map and playing chess by himself. Report. Commander. The soldier rushed in to report. Something bad has happened. Yangchun Prefecture city gates are wide open. Roughly 100,000 civilians are fleeing in all directions, and we estimate the city's defenders are mixed among them. What should we do now? Dong'an remained silent. General Dong, would you say something? Xiang Tian approached. I think there is absolutely no need to focus on the remnants of the reserve camp. Jialaoxi is still there, and Luotian Pass has military forces. They can't escape. What's urgent is to find a way to kill Sha Wenlong inside the city, and then capture Chao Fan alive. Dong'an still did not speak. From time to time, he would pick up a pen and scribble on the map. He was replicating the previous battle, like reviewing a chess game, to see how the opponent had managed it. Report. The scout hastened back, panting, Commander! News from Dong'an at Jiankou County. Jia Lao Si. Finally, Dongan spoke, his voice hoarse. He should be dead by now, right? General, how did you know? The scout was surprised and then said, the army that was in pursuit when it passed by Genko County, Mr. Jia and his men had all died, and there was no news of the reserve camp's remnants. They must have continued southwards, heading straight for Luotian Pass, which now has been left vulnerable. Tell Liang Jinian, Dongan said solemnly. Block them at Luotian Pass and be careful with your troops. Watch for their feints. In the last 2 instances we were deceived by feints, don't fall for it again. Also here, we need to station heavy troops and stay put to prevent them from repeating their trick, launching a backward charge, returning by the same path. The flanks must also be heavily guarded. By all means, they must be completely surrounded and killed. I previously underestimated them too much. Chun Sansi is smart, and this Yusong isn't bad either. Don't forget, he's the main general of the remnants of the reserve camp. Golden Spring Manor's former defender was at Minor Meridian Passage, and so was Jia Lao Si. Killing 2 Meridian Passages in succession, he undoubtedly stands out in his realm. So, next to Chun Sansi, we must also pay close attention to Yusong's movements. If he doesn't show up, it's highly likely a feint. Make this clear to Liang Jinian. Yes. The scout accepted the order and left. They were responsible for writing the orders on paper and then delivering them to the Black Hawk. Mr. Dong, Xiang Tian said anxiously. The arrangements are made over there. What about us here? You handle it. Dongan said indifferently, his gaze still not moving from the map. Handle it? Xiang Tian could no longer hold back. General Dong, why bother? Even if a few thousand people escaped, what difference does it make? Let them do what they want. Taking down Yangchun Prefecture is the top priority. What do you understand? Dongan gave a tiger-like glare and spoke fiercely. Xiang Tian, do you realize what the remnants of the reserve camp mean? There are 4 individuals with the body of Marshal Saint alone. Not to mention, there's Chun Sansi who far surpasses Fang Qingyun. He's not just good in warfare, but he will also achieve top-notch martial prowess. Don't forget the rumors from Liangzhou. Sun Xiangzong might very well pass the immortal law to him. If this man isn't taken down, it won't only be a problem for us. He might not even be good news for Dashing. What are you standing around for? Can't you handle the 2,000 people in Yangchun Prefecture? Yes, I understand. Xiang Tian accepted the order and hurriedly left. If I can crush the Chun surname this time, it would prove that Fang Qingyun is no longer a match for me. In Dong En's heart, the young general who had been playing a game with him for less than half a year had long surpassed Fang Qingyun and became the enemy of his destiny. Some people live for money, some for power, some are fond of sensual pleasures. But what he was born to pursue is to become the #1 military master in the world. Just like the master of war a millennium ago. After his death, when people learn military strategy, the military books they study will be the ones he left behind. So, defeating this man was more important to him than anything else. If he could win this game, the previous losses would mean nothing, because everything would become experience, absorbed and converted into his own strength, to be used on other battlefields in the future. He must win. This battle is larger than his life. Meishan Prefecture. It's still decreasing. Liang Ji paced anxiously in his room, acutely aware of the changes in his body. It must be because they've suffered another defeat. Another defeat. That's what's causing this. Report. The intelligence finally arrived. Liang Ji quickly opened it to take a look and didn't forget to collate it on a map and the sand table to replicate it. What a strategy. Attacking Yangchun Prefecture openly and crossing Hengze River secretly. They've used this trick once already during their second crossing. Chapter 236. 4 crossings of Hengze. Striking directly at the heart _5. Jia Lao Si. Did Jia Lao Si manage to stop them? Report. Update from the East Bank battle. Mr. Jia's forces were completely wiped out at Genko County. What? He's dead? How is this possible? How is it possible? Liang Jinian was somewhat frantic. The reserve camp has been on the march, weary to the bone, first slaying the Meridian Passage and Hua Jin primary and deputy generals at Golden Spring Manor, and then again killed Mr. C in Jiankou County. It seems we have all underestimated Yu Song before. This man is bravely invincible, bound to achieve greatness in the future. Commander, the soldier said, what do we do next? We only have 2,000 defenders at Luotian Pass, including one Meridian Passage. Given this fighting power, they really might be able to break out. Should we call in additional forces from Maishan Prefecture? Liang Jinian did not rush to make a decision but looked at the maps and sand table. Analyzing, their current location is most likely south of Jiankou County, nearly arriving at Shaoluo County. According to common sense, if we want to stop them, we should indeed mobilize the troops there immediately. But don't forget, last time it was after they made a feint at the Great Luotian Pass and then turned to cross westward, making a fool of us, so this time do not rush. How many forces can we still draw together in Maishan Prefecture? Reporting to the commander, according to the latest roster, there are 10,562 people. Good. Liang Jinian played with his abacus, squinting his eyes and said, convey my command, deploy 8,000 to encamp by the Hongze River, among them, 3,000 to cross the river to support the siege at the Great Luotian Pass, and the rest stand by for orders. If it's really a main attack on the Great Luotian Pass, then launch an all-out offensive. If it's a feint, remain in place, always ready to defend or surround from the north. This time, they are surely doomed. A brilliant plan, Commander. An assistant general exclaimed, with such an arrangement, we can ensure they don't escape from the Great Luotian Pass and prevent them from crossing the Hongze River again, going around in circles within Ming State's territory. This Chun Sansi with merely 3,000 men, holding out against us for such a long time, is indeed impressive. His abilities are not inferior even to mine. Liang Jinian's mood lightened considerably. Putting down the abacus, he said, I've heard he was also a scholar before and he couldn't even pass the scholar examination. I actually feel quite a bit of empathy for him. Unfortunately, an enemy is an enemy. To kill him is also to show my respect for him. Let it be so. After his death, remember to leave an intact body, and then send it to Maishan to be peacefully buried. A humane and righteous commander. In the rebel army camp of Yangchun Prefecture City, Dong'an, upon looking at the returned messages, it felt as if a weight was lifted from his heart. Good, very good. Liang Jinian, truly worthy of the one who acquired the heavenly book, no fool indeed. Such arrangements can be said to be foolproof. It's over. This time, it really is the end. Hiss. He tried to stand but felt dizzy and nearly collapsed to the ground. Commander, the devoted attendant hurriedly helped. Over the past 7 or 8 days you've only had one bowl of porridge. Even an Iron Man can't hold up. As practitioners of martial arts, we need to consume more meat to replenish our strength. Really? Have I not eaten for that long? Dong'an laughed. I didn't even realize. Go on then. Get some roasted meat for the commander, roast a sheep and bring some soup. Forget the wine, just soup will do. Understood. The attendant immediately went to happily carry out the command. The commander's happy mood indicated that the upcoming battle situation was going to turn completely in our favor. In Shaoluo County. We're back again. Chun Sansi looked at the dilapidated city gate and, together with Yu Song, led his brothers into the city. Shaoluo County, now void of any army, only maintained by constables from the government office, were actually people of the Great Sheng dynasty, who simply submitted previously due to the pressure from Chimei. Seeing them was akin to a welcoming parade. They even had food prepared in advance. Having eaten a warm meal and rested briefly for half a day, they continued southward, heading straight for Luotian Pass, stopping near the wilderness only 200 li away, waiting for the news from the scouts. Report. Zhao Kong ran until his shoes fell apart. He reported, Luotian Pass is indeed weak in troops. After our probing, they are at most 2,000 strong. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yan Chongqing was overjoyed. We've survived. We all survived. That's right. Xie Shu also swept away the fatigue from his body. The Imperial Army entered the Great Wilderness 3 days ago. As long as we break out, in a month we can join up with the Imperial Army, then return with the main force to take vengeance. Lu Shuhua wasn't quick to express his position. Let's first see what General Chun has to say, right? You already know what's best. Yusong cast a glance. General Chun, everyone is waiting for your order. Get on with it. Back and forth so many times. They have completely submitted, up and down. Who dares to make their own plans, speak nonsense? Each time before has proven, with just over 3,000 men, death was just half a step away. Luotian Pass. Seems we cannot get out through there. Chun Sansi first threw cold water on them and then patiently explained. Each time after we cross the river, we lack sufficient war horses, leading to a drastic reduction in the marching speed. I was also trying it out, but now it seems indeed too late. After we arrived at Xiao Luo County, probably both Dong'an from Yangchun Prefecture and Liang Jinian from Meishan Prefecture received the news and will certainly dispatch troops and horses to reinforce beforehand. Under these circumstances, to break through Luotian Pass we need to act fast and decisively. Chapter 237. 4 Crossings of Hongzhe, striking directly at Huanglong_6. But Luotian Pass is different from the likes of Jiayutian in Jiankou County. They are responsible for defense and are always on alert. Moreover, the plan to lure the enemy into the pot, to trap the Liangzhou soldiers, was already set. The defenses at Luotian Pass have been perfectly repaired. Last time, Su Wenkai and the others witnessed it themselves. Even if they only have 2,000 men without siege equipment, which we will need to either find or make, it will take at least 20 days to have a chance of breaching it. Such a long time is not only enough for reinforcements to reach Luotian Pass, but also for the forces chasing us to catch up overwhelmingly. Therefore, if we continue south and forcefully attack Luotian Pass, we are certainly doomed. As the words were spoken, even those who were mentally prepared fell into a dead silence. Then, what do we do? After a long pause, Xiesishu finally said, Is this truly a dead end? Chun Sansi said indifferently, There is a way. If you have a way, General Chun, spit it out already. Do you want to scare us to death? Exactly, we've reached this point, we will definitely obey your command. You tell us to go east, and we won't even consider west. Yes, General Chen. Yusong, having recovered much of his injuries, looked significantly better. Do you have any concerns? It's okay. Just speak your mind. Chun Sansi nodded and asked, Everyone, what do you think has been the most critical moment in this battle so far?
Sword Gotha Kenyan.
As long as General Lu breaks through with his valor, all our problems will be solved. That's not right, I think it's Yen State. The White Tiger Camp and Vermilion Bird Camp are facing the mighty army of the West Qi Kingdom. Further west is the Great Wall. If they win, it will put great pressure on the West Qi Kingdom. It seems you're all wrong, and General Chun hasn't shown any agreement. Yusong said with wry humor, Then I guess it's the Imperial Army. Once the general breaks through from Luotian Pass, our great Shang dynasty will surpass the enemy army in terms of troops, and we can gradually gain the advantage. Chun Sansi still shook his head. Old Su, what do you think? Su Wenkai waved the feather fan in his hand, landing on the location of Meishan Prefecture. My lord, could it be that you're referring to Liang Jinian? That's right. Chun Sansi continued. The Red Eyebrow Army doesn't have many soldiers, but without the Red Eyebrow Army, there wouldn't be this chaos in Ming State. At the end of the day, it's not really Liang Jinian, but rather what he has in his hands, the heavenly book and strange weapon. Do you understand? He paused. Whether it's the West Qi Kingdom or the rebel Dong'an, they all came for the miracle soldier's heavenly book. You all only know military tactics, not realizing that ultimately, war is nothing but a battle for momentum. The hype of an immortal's gift, the heavenly book and strange weapon, is the biggest momentum. If things go as I have predicted, this chaos in Ming State will stir the whole world, because people worship immortals. They believe the immortals are supporting the rebellion, which indicates that the great Qing dynasty's days are numbered, and they will desperately join the chaos. This is why the Red Eyebrow Army, which started with just a few thousand men, could cause the situation we see today. But on the contrary, if the rumors about the immortals are dispelled, then the enemy's momentum will self-destruct without being attacked. The subsequent war situation will see a reversal of offensive and defensive momentum, and the enemy army will no longer have any advantage of time, location, or people. They will fall into an extremely difficult war of attrition. So we must, under everyone's watchful eyes, Chan Sansi's finger, like a stabilizer, forcefully tapped on the west bank of the Hongza River. Each word he spoke resonated in their minds like thunder on a clear day. Cross the Hongza 4 times and storm Maishan. To storm the dragon in its lair is to strike at the heart, and for their understanding, Chun Sansi replaced it with Maishan. For crossings, a brilliant move, no, a divine strategy. This is a divine strategy. Su Wenkai gasped, the first to come to his senses. He prided himself on mastering military tactics and had spent many years studying famous battles over 1,000 years. At the beginning of the Ming state upheaval, he could keep up with the Lord's pace, but after the 3rd crossing, he became somewhat perplexed, and now even more lost until he heard the words for crossings. As if suddenly enlightened, he explained to the others who were still confused, "Currently, most of the troops are chasing us from behind, and only the main base of the Red Eyebrow Army, Maishan Prefecture, can send reinforcements quickly. But given the progress of the war, there won't be many troops left in Maishan Prefecture City, at most no more than 15,000, though it could be just a few thousand. So, once they divide their forces to support, it will leave their main base vulnerable, and we can take the opportunity to cross the Hongza River 4 times to the west and then directly attack Maishan Prefecture." Liang Jinian, just a scholar, not even as good as an array soldier, and without any high-realm martial artists around him, as long as we break through, he will only be left with death. Once Liang Jinian is dead and the heavenly book and strange weapon are in our hands, not only will we be saved, but it will also greatly aid the battle situation in Ming State. This is what the Lord intends. Cross the Hongza 4 times and storm Maishan. But Chun Sansi hadn't spoken earlier because there was another very serious issue that needed careful planning. Chapter 238. One general achieves success. For crossings of Hongza, straight to Maishan Prefecture. The rest, under Su Wensai's detailed explanation, also gradually came to realize. Their pupils trembled visibly to the naked eye. What does this mean? They're not planning to run anymore. And directly, win the battle. Originally, if these 3,000 men were to burn the forage, no matter what, as long as they did not defect, they would be at the forefront of the merit books at the end of this battle. And if they were to destroy the main camp of the Red Eyebrow Army and seize the legendary Miracle Soldier's heavenly book, then wouldn't that be heavenly merit, genuine heavenly merit? 3,000 men, influencing the direction of a huge battle involving 300,000 on both sides. Every one of them heavenly merit. This isn't a pipe dream. Upon understanding, the others also felt that this plan was feasible. Then what are we waiting for? Lu Shuhua stood up. "General Chun, when do we set out?" "We'll set out tomorrow at 5 a.m. Chun Sansi pointed at the map and allocated. "This time, Vice Admiral Yu and I will lead 1,000 men to cover the rear. Then, Su Wenkai, you take Brother Lu and the others to cross the Hongza River from the west, hide at the crossing of Hongza and Wushui, and once there is a signal of burning the mountains from our direction, immediately cross the Wushui River and head straight for Maishan Prefecture City. You must seize Liang Jinian as fast as possible and take the heavenly book. Brother Lu, Brother Xie, and Mr. Yen, if you trust me, follow Su Wensai's command." "All right." Lu Shuhua nodded forcefully. "General Chun, rest assured, we'll listen to you and entrust the command to Mr. Su. But there's something I don't understand." Xie Sishu took over the conversation and uttered the second half. "Why do you and Vice Admiral you need to personally remain behind for this feint attack? You two are currently the highest in our martial arts realm. Isn't it a bit?" "It's all right," Chun Sansi said solemnly. "The Red Eyebrow Army is originally composed of bandits. No matter how many people they have gathered in recent years, the number of high-realm martial artists has always been just a few. By the time they cross the river, the highest rank among the generals left in Maishan Prefecture will not exceed the Huajin stage. It's been almost half a year, Brother Liu. Yesterday I saw you practicing martial arts. You're about to reach Huajin too, right? Exactly. Lu Shuhua didn't deny it. Just a hair away. I should be able to break through tonight. Then there's no problem. Chan Sansi continued. If we encounter any Huajin generals, I'll leave them to you. General, why don't you let me cover the rear? Bai Thingji asked with confusion. You and Vice Admiral Yu? One is in charge of command while the other is the main general. What are you two doing staying behind? I have my arrangements. Chan Sansi stated. Get everything arranged quickly. There's no time for explanations anymore. After he finished speaking, he left carrying his long spear and soon disappeared without a trace. This. Lu Shuhua and the others looked at each other in dismay. Why does this feel so strange? Yeah. The two of them staying behind for the feint. Why? It's not necessary. Yusong didn't speak, almost lying on the map, his movements somewhat clumsy as he carefully studied it. Mr. Su, do you know the reason for this arrangement? Because this is not a feint at all. Su Wenkai suddenly realized something and was overwhelmed with tears, muttering to himself, such benevolence. Having such an enlightened ruler, I, Su Wenkai, have no regrets in this life. But we absolutely cannot do this. We cannot take such a big risk. What are you talking about? Lu Shuhua and the others were even more confused. I can't stop Mr. Wang. I must find someone who can. Su Wenkai looked around hastily and then rushed toward the area where the main force was resting. God damn it! Wang Ji slapped Feng Yong on the head. Last time it was clearly me who killed more. Hand over the 10 taels of silver quickly. Don't think of stiffing me. Bullshit. Feng Yong retorted, not convinced. The ones I killed were all bone training level. One of them is worth 10 of yours. After the battle with Jia Yutian, the soldiers took advantage of the rest to settle their gambling debts with each other, making some bitter fun for themselves. After all, they just needed to follow orders. During this half year, no matter how flustered the rest of the soldiers were, they were relatively calm. Mr. Wang. Su Wenkai interrupted them. May I speak with you in private? Is it something you can't say here? Wang Ji looked at him and after a moment's hesitation, still agreed, okay. The two of them went to a secluded corner. Wang Ji clenched a grass root in his mouth and began. Go ahead, Mr. Su, what's going on? Mr. Wang. Su Wenkai asked. You must be the former main general of Xuanwu Camp, Tang Ruishan, correct? Wang Ji was startled. Oh. Su Wenkai explained. I overheard Mr. Wang calling you elder brother inadvertently last time. Hence my conjecture. This matter is of great importance, so I implore Mr. Wang not to withhold any information. Wang Ji replied seriously. Speak. Here's the thing. Su Wenkai recounted the whole situation in detail. Does this lad want to repeat my missteps? After hearing everything, Wang Ji's brow furrowed into a Sichuan character, murmuring, I understand. I'll stake my life to stop him. Elsewhere, after spending a long time on the map, Yusong finally understood. Cursing under his breath, he scooped up the map and set off in the direction Chun Sansi had left. Eventually, he found Chun Sansi sitting on a large rock by a stream, lost in thought. General Chun, how did you end up hiding here? Yusong sat down beside him and stealthily reached into his chest to pull out a water bag, sniffing it after opening. Guess what this is? Chapter 239 Achievements of a General Part 2. Alcohol. Chun Sansi didn't need to peer inside. As soon as the stopper was removed, the potent scent of alcohol hit him. That's right. Su Wen boasted as he introduced. This alcohol is called Drunk Saint. They say even the martial saint would get drunk after a few sips. It's very expensive. You know, just this water bag costs several hundred taels of silver. I brought it from Liangzhou when I set off, planning to share it with the brothers after winning a victory. But who knew this battle would drag on for half a year, and there hasn't been a chance to have a taste until now. Want some? Sure. Chun Sansi didn't stand on ceremony and grabbed the water bag to take a gulp. The liquor was medicinal and steeped with an exotic beast, so after downing a swallow, his body felt fiery hot, and just one gulp made him slightly tipsy. This was indeed the first time he had drunk such a strong beverage. No wonder it was called Drunk Saint. Ha ha ha! Suwon laughed as he snatched back the water bag and took a big swig, grimacing as he endured the harshness of the strong liquor while spreading the military map out in front of them. He pointed at the map. General Chun, I just took another good look at our entire marching route since arriving in Ming State, and you are brilliant. You don't realize until you look, but you've been leading a group of us toying with an army of more than 100,000 men. I bet they're all furious, especially Dong-in. That man is well known. Losing a battle is worse for him than losing his life, let alone to us, who number just over 3,000. Chun Sansi said nothing. Why are you silent, boy? You look down on me? I've been in the army for so long and became an assistant general. I understand some tactics at least. Suwon continued, gesturing with his hand. This time, the reason you had us two stay behind to cover the rear is because feint attacks don't work anymore, right? Chun Sansi did not deny it. One may be cheated once or twice, but not forever. Use the same tactic too often, and even a pig would see through it, not to mention living, breathing men. Neither Dong and nor Liang Jinian of Meishan are fools. If not, the Liang surname wouldn't have received an immortal's gift. Therefore, Suwon emphasized, we can't feint anymore. Only a real attack can attract more of their forces, causing Meishan Prefecture's defenses to thin. But how can we make the exceedingly clever Liang Jinian and Dong and believe that we're serious, not feigning? What's more convincing than the main general appearing at Luotian Pass? That's why you asked for the two of us to stay behind to cover the rear. How about that? Am I wrong in my analysis? I haven't been fighting these years for nothing, have I? Chun Sansi nodded. Vice Admiral Yu is spot on. Good, good. What does this mean? It means, create an opportunity if none exists. Suwon exclaimed, General Chun is indeed a mastermind, a rare talent in command throughout the ages. I always felt you would become one of the premier figures in the 8 camps. Surpassing General Liu is not impossible. The hope of the 8 camps lies with you. But, at this point, Suwon's tone shifted suddenly, and he lunged forward to fiercely grab Chun Sansi's lapels, hissing angrily, I was wrong. You son of a bitch are a coward. A coward. Vice Admiral Yu. Chun Sansi was somewhat bewildered by the other's abrupt change. Chun Sansi. Suwon's eyes reddened as he bellowed, I ask you, what is the duty and responsibility of a qualified general, a person in command of soldiers? You won't say? Fine, let me tell you. A general needs to achieve strategic goals while minimizing losses. It's that simple. Just this one line is enough. And you, what are you doing? Vice Admiral Yu. Chun Sansi's gaze was complex. I don't understand what you mean. Still pretending to be dumb with me. Suwon shoved him to the ground, cursing without any courtesy. Covering the rear, it's enough with just me alone. Why did you have to follow along? Because your strategy requires my death to succeed, so you feel sorry, guilty, you think you've caused my death. Right? Answer me. Yes, Chun Sansi admitted. Since joining the army, he had never intentionally exchanged his brother's lives for victory, especially not so many lives. Of course, he wasn't truly on a suicide mission. He had the abnormal fire and sword chi skill as trump cards, and there was still a chance of survival, albeit with great risk. Such cowardice, such misplaced mercy. Suwon's eyes showed contempt. Do you think General Fong or Supervisor Sun would decide differently? They would leave me to cover the rear without hesitation, then lead the troops to attack Meishan Prefecture. If my death can bring victory in this battle, then my life as an assistant general is well spent. History has never seen such a bargain. I'm telling you, if our roles were reversed, I would have sent you to die, not waffle like a woman here. I ask you, if you stay with me and die here, can Lu Shuhua and the others truly accomplish their mission? Are they really capable? Su Wenkai might be impressive, but at the end of the day, he's no better than an array soldier. The battlefield is unforgiving, and should he fall, who else could command? Are the rest up to the task? If chaos ensues and Maishan Prefecture isn't taken, wouldn't everyone have died in vain? Your strategy shows you understand this better than I do. How can you be so irresponsible? Do you know how valuable your life is? Even if you must die, it should be on the way to attack Maishan Prefecture, not at Luotian Pass. Chapter 240, One General Achieves Success Part 3. Chun Sansi closed his eyes. You're right. He understood all this well enough. The other's admonishments severed the last shackle in his heart. The battlefield was just like that. Without sacrifice, there could be no victory. Knowing I'm right is good. Yusong looked at him, his voice trembling slightly with excitement. So, put away your pathetic, cowardly sympathy and pity. Those who are benevolent don't handle money, and those who are kind don't command troops. On the battlefield, it has always been that for one general's success, thousands of bones lay dry. A timeless truth. But as long as they die a worthy death, the brothers will absolutely have no grievances. Don't talk anymore. He looked at the other, preparing to speak, but interrupted. You kid are talented, but your biggest flaw is still your youth. Hence your heart is too soft towards our own people. I hope that after this battle, you can transform, you can grow, and become a true general, and in the future, become a true commander. You don't have the right to refuse. I listened to you before because you were right, but this time you're wrong. And don't forget, I'm the assistant general of the reserve camp, and you're just 1,000 captain. Military orders are like mountains. You have no right to defy them. I understand. Chin Sansi wasn't being sentimental. When he reopened his eyes, his gaze had become resolute. After dawn, please Vice Admiral, you select 1,000 cavalrymen to attack Luotian Pass. The more noise, the better, but for the first 2 days, try not to suffer too much loss. Drag it out as long as possible. Additionally, send someone to watch over southern Wilderness Mountain. Once you see from the west bank of Hengze River, toward Maishan Prefecture, a large army approaching, immediately set fire to the mountain to send a signal. Then I will seize the opportunity to cross Wushui River and head straight for Maishan Prefecture. Afterward, Vice Admiral, you can try to break through on his own if there's still a chance. Ha ha ha. After listening, Yusong burst into hearty laughter. That's right. You should have arranged it like this from the start. In doing so, Maishan Prefecture is as good as gone. The unrest in Ming State, once the court's army arrives, won't take long to be quelled. Come. To celebrate our mighty feat, let's drink. I'll go catch a rabbit to roast. Chun Sansi picked up a bow and arrow and went into the forest ahead. In less than the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, he returned with a wild rabbit. Then, using the Jinhua sword, he butchered it cleanly and started a fire to roast the meat beside a stream. The two men ate the rabbit meat and drank wine, unknowingly passing from dusk deep into the night. All right, Yusong, with a hint of intoxication, said, I need to practice some martial arts to sober up. We still have to depart after daybreak. General Chun should also hurry and make preparations. Don't delay the military opportunity. Your subordinate obeys the order. Chun Sansi bowed with his fist, turned, walked a few steps, then stopped. Vice Admiral Yu, do you have any last requests for your subordinate to carry out? Calling it a request was really a euphemism for a final wish. Both understood it very well. I almost forgot about that. Yusong grinning said, I do have something I'd like to ask General Chan to do. I have 3 sons at home who don't like studying but love martial arts. The oldest one has a decent constitution. There won't be a position for selected point under supervisor anymore. So please take some time to teach him a couple of moves when you have a moment, General Chun. You are the closed-door disciple of Lord Governor, and your teaching is no different from the Lord Governor himself, haha, much better than me. I'm benefiting from a great bargain. I will provide for your son until his end. Chun Sansi promised and then bowed before departing. Outside the woods, Wang Ji and Su Wenkai finally located them. Looks like there's no need for us to persuade anymore. Yes. Su Wenkai breathed a sigh of relief. The Lord is good in all things, ruthless enough to enemies, but only soft-hearted when it comes to our own people. But after this time, I guess the Lord will not be like this anymore. Senior brother. Chun Sansi stopped in front of Wang Ji. You should meet with Vice Admiral Yu, in another identity. Me? With the way I look, how could I face anyone? Wang Ji forced a smile. Well, since you put it that way, I'll brave my shame and have a chat. Honestly, I could stay behind too. If I meet some internal refiners, I could still hold my own in a fight. Senior brother. Chun Sansi objected. You are needed. Who knows, perhaps later on, there might even be a chance to cure your old malady. Even an immortal might be reparable. The injury to a martial artist's meridians may yet have a chance of healing. All right then. Wang Ji, carrying his sword, went forth. The next morning, early, the troops split into two groups. Chun Sansi led 2,000 men to cross the river to the west, temporarily hiding near the junction of the Hongze and Wushui rivers. Kill! Don't let a single one escape. Princely heir Chao Fan and Sha Wanlong are among these civilians. Spare U.S. military lords. We're just commoners, not soldiers. Piuki. Outside Yangchun Prefecture, amidst barren hills and wild ridges, commoners were everywhere. The rebel army was in pursuit from behind. In the midst of the chaos, disguised as civilians, Sha Wanlong and Chao Fan, having discarded even their weapons, ran desperately forward in a sorry state. I can't go on. Thud. Chao Fan, running, suddenly collapsed. He hadn't eaten for 10 days, and if not for the robust physique of a martial artist, he would have starved to death long ago. But precisely because of his martial arts training, his body's depletion was greater, making the hunger excruciatingly painful. Young master, please wait. Sha Wenlong leapt away and soon after snatched some dry food from the fleeing commoners. Please eat, young master. Once you're done, we'll continue on our journey. The two were dressed in tatters, their faces crudely disguised with disguise technique, looking nothing like a great general and princely heir, but rather like pair of beggars.